Okay, so we're going to start from Ois Vav, like a lot of the sichos in the first halakim, where it's really like divided different sichos from different times. This is actually something that the Rebbe addressed to askanim that were involved in supporting Lubavitcher yeshivas. The Rebbe in those years used to a lot of times speak a sikha just for those people that were involved in supporting the yeshivas, the philanthropists, etc. So the Rebbe talks from our parsha a very interesting Hira, that it says a combination of interesting things. It says that Avram was in Eretz Plishtim Yomim Rabim, and he was Vayita Eshel Be'er Shava, and it says that he took his child Yitzchok to the Akeidah to offer him up as a sacrifice to Hashem. And the Rebbe is really going to connect all these three things together. He's being settled in Eretz Plishtim, which Eretz Plishtim was a very comfortable situation at the time, which again reminds Yidden of being in America, at least what it used to be like, till the last 2 years or so. And then afterwards, how a person needs to make sure to communicate their values to their kids, even and especially in the comfort of America. The Friedrich Rebbe used to say, Torah is from the word Hayra, a lesson, a directive in life. It has to be that way. Why? Through the Torah that's everlasting. The very reason why we are everlasting, the very reason why we're able to exist throughout all the hardships and all the difficulties of all the years, because we have an everlasting Torah. If we wouldn't have the everlasting Torah, Nachas v'shalom, the everlasting nature of the Jewish people wouldn't be able to manifest itself. We have an everlasting Torah from our everlasting God, so our living with the Torah in an everlasting way all the time, that ensures us to be able to handle everything that comes our way. The Parshaseinu Mesupar al Yehudei Harishon Shaya Ba'olam, the first Jew, Hu haya echad v'yachid b'shah shekol ha'olam haya negdoi. The Chazal say, why was Avram called Avram ha'ivri? He was called ha'ivri because he was me'ever echad, and the whole world was me'ever hasheni. So as much as we look at ourselves these days as a nation being isolated, Avram Avinu was not even a nation. He was one person, and everybody was against Avram. What are you, crazy? You don't bow down to idols. You don't serve Nimrod. He will throw you into the fiery furnace. He was a single guy against the entire world. But it turned around. Everybody else came to the conclusion and realized that Hashem is supporting him and Hashem is with him. They saw, and they said that like we have in next week's parsha. People recognized finally, after much struggles, yes, Abraham Avinu was already older, but after many years of standing firm, they finally realized that Hashem was with him. Oz Karas Melech Plishtim Imay Bris, because he saw how successful he was. It was, self-interest, like all the goyim when they make treaties with the Yidden. And like the Rebbe is later on going to point out, it was Yomim Rabim. He was over there in the land of Plishtim many days, many years. He was settled in Plishtim in comfort, and he didn't have to worry about everybody being against him. Avram is going to Plishtim, Mesupar Parshaseinu, Vayita Eshel Be'er Vayikra Sham B'Shem Havaya Keil Olam. What is the meaning Vayikra Sham B'Shem Havaya Keil Olam? Shepirasem Sham Malakus VaAmunah. He made godliness well known. he made the belief in Hashem well known. Vayoger Avram be'eres plishtim yom rabim, ula'acher mikein ba sipur Akeidah. So he lived over there many years, and plishtim, and then came the story with the Akeidah at the end of this week's parsha. V'tzarech lahavin ma loimdim onu mizeh she'Avram nota sham eshel. This whole idea that Avram planted an eshel, what does it mean? What can we learn from this, that he planted a tree? I mean, if you think about it, again, he's going to say this inside, but just think about it for a second. Avram accomplished such amazing things in his life. Like we said, he got so many people in the world to admit and to follow him and to believe in God. Guess what? We have an interesting story to tell you. Avram Avinu planted a tree. Can you imagine, after a whole life, they're going to say that, you know what? He did this and this and this. And Chaim Yankel also, he planted a tree while he was in Davy. I mean, what's the significance? What's the Vayita Eshel? HaTorah remet ha'eres gedulosei shel Avram Avinu shebiyosi Yehudi Yachid Pirsam b'chol makmes emunah b'Shem echad. Even though he was one person, like we said, a singular person, still in all he was able to make it well known about Hashem. Ma moisiv be'inyan zeh sipur netias ha'eshel. Gam ma shayches ben Vayita Eshel l'parshas Akeidah haba miyad la'acher kein. He tells us about the Eshel as an introduction into the story that Avram was taking Yitzchok to be bound and to be sacrificed for Hashem. It's got to be some type of association between them. Pirush Eshel if pshutayu ilon meruba ba'anafim. This is the type of tree that an Eshel was. Lots of leaves on it, lots of branches. This was a natural thing, that you planted a tree when you were in a desert, scorching sun, hot sun, to protect yourself from the sun, and also to protect the guests, that we'll soon see. But the Gemara has like the similar question. What's the significance? And even Rashi wants to know, what's the big deal that he planted an Eshel? And also, in that very same pasuk, it says, Vayikra sham b'shem Havaya kei loylam. What's the connection between planting a tree and calling out the name of Hashem? Even if planting of a tree is important, there has to be some type of connection. So therefore, a whole orchard. What was the purpose? To be able to give fruits to the passers-by, to the travelers. An inn. Avram Avinu nasan la'orchim loirak peres el achil v'shtiya basar v'yayin cholom mishka. He gave them all their needs, fruits, food, where to sleep. Ad Avram kim super medrash hamid esli b'bayis Sanhedrin avura orchim kedei lifter es hashaylos asuyos lesoyretz al orchim. He even established a court so that in case the travelers have any issues that they have to bring to court, and we'll soon explain why it was so important, why couldn't they wait till they got home or whatever, and he made over there a court. And this, Rashi afterwards goes on to explain, was part of the way how he also was mefarsim melakus. He made godliness well known, because then he told them, listen, you ate, you drank, bench, thank Hashem. But the point that the Rebbe is going to connect this with is with the idea of the Eretz Plishtim and the Akeidah. The Vayita Eshel, the message of Vayita Eshel, is to explain what degree of Achnasas Orchim it was. Hu lo yistapek b'nesinas lechem melech u'mayim lo orchim. He could have satisfied them. He could have given them enough. They don't go hungry. Yes, people are traveling through a desert. They're hungry. They don't have what to eat. They'll be happy you give them bread and water also, as long as you have something what to eat in the middle of the desert. But that wasn't what satisfied Avraham Avinu. That's not how Avraham Avinu was mekayim the mitzvah of achnasas orchim. Avraham Avinu lo yistapek b'nesinas hahechrech. What's the bare minimum? Kim noslam dvarim ha'ma'angim, peiris, yain, kol minim megodim, mishka, vafil Sanhedrin, lahoshiv, l'sheilesehem, v'noslam kol ze al afshay l'gaba v'anoshim zorim. The Rebbe explains over here that the Avraham Avinu's hachnosas oichim was such that he went totally out of his way. And his out of the way was not for things that were necessities. Even things that are just for pleasure, for dessert, fruits. Even something to keep their mind calm. He's going to explain this a little bit later inside. The Sanhedrin, what was the reason that he had to bring them a Sanhedrin over there in the wilderness? We know when you have a problem and you still haven't figured it out, and you want to bring it to court, you can't really relax because, you have this court case on your head. Part of Avram's Achnosas Oichim was to care for the mental relaxation of the people as well. Whatever he could do to bring them calmness, he did. Even if it meant establishing a court so that they didn't have to wait till traveling to wherever they're going to be able to settle things in court. They'd be able to settle it right there and have a calm night's sleep.
A new concept of hospitality. Take care of your
mental health, exactly. The Rebbe is going to actually say exactly that, the mental health. Not just the physical needs, but mental health as well. Abraham. So we should have that. We should have a psychotherapist by every stop, by every achnosas orchim. Mizem tzarich limleit kolach miYisrael. Harei etzel kol echad netua belev midas hatzdaka ugemilas chasadim. V'olav ladav shemidah zu sheyaresh oisa b'Yerusha ma'Avram Avinu eina rak b'shvil losses l'sheni dvarim achreichim. This fact that every Jew has naturally this midah of chesed to want to be machnesoirach, to help another person, it's not just limited to helping a person with basics. It's not just limited to helping a person with the bare minimum. Kim gam divrei madonim, enjoyable things. V'loidak b'muvin achumri, not only material things that are enjoyable, elagam lifter es bayis hanefesh haruchni shal zulas, to solve and to help out another person's peace of mind, his spiritual welfare to help out as well. Inyan asiyas hatzdaka b'ifna amr le'il, l'sapik loidak es achreichi levad. Kim gam es ha'ana v'atainug, harei mushresh eitzel ha'hoirim b'negei lilideim. Up till now we were talking about Bnei Avraham, Yitzchok, Yaakov. But in general, parents for children, all parents for children have this type of attitude. Teva mushresh eitzel ha'hoirim losses lilideim shem chasri yecholos. Their children, especially when they first come into the world, are totally helpless. They are completely dependent on their parents. Kol hanitzrach lehem. By nature, parents will give their children whatever is necessary. There is no consideration of a quid pro quo. Are my kids going to pay me back? Are they going to treat me nicely? No. There's no. It's a natural, innate thing that automatically I give my kids all what they need. And loirak achrechis, not just what they need, not just the bare minimum. So this is in general concerning material things, but we said also there is the spiritual component as well. Kach gam bechlal benegel lechinuch, mechanchim hahoirim shledeim sheyispatchu v'yigadlu al tzad ha'yois atoiv b'yoiser, hein b'chomer v'hein b'ruach. We teach and we bring the children an education that will make them develop to their utmost potential and possibility, both to reach their utmost potential and possibility, both materially, so whatever they need to have in the material world, and also spiritually. Spiritually meaning Torah mitzvahs, and spiritually means that they should be a calm, an educated person, and a person of mind and mental health and so on. But Bnei Yisrael dugmas Avraham Avinu hagisha ativus hazois eina rak biyachas l'tzotzoeim kim gam la'anoshim zorim. When it comes to the Jewish people, they take it a step further. What's natural for parents towards kids is natural for a Jew, since we are children of Abraham, towards foreign strangers. Even something, money that the person had to work very hard for it. He will give it to complete strangers. Not just the physical needs. I am willing to spend money to help another person's mental and spiritual well-being. The Rebbe says, this is something that's really beyond logic. My mind can understand helping another. That you have pity on a person and he's missing something, so you give him what he's missing. If it's only for that person's enjoyment and pleasure, there is a unique characteristic of goodness. And this characteristic of goodness is beyond logic. It makes no sense. He's looking for opportunities and ways to help out another person, even beyond the minimum, even beyond the basics. If even physical needs a person does it that way, spiritual needs how much more so? Because the pain of a spiritual deficiency is much worse than the pain of a physical lack. This was the custom of Yidden in all generations. Even in places where they were suffering oppression. They immediately, when they came, they established places of learning Torah. Not just the bare necessities. Okay, let's get them to read Hebrew and then out the door. No. They give it to them the full gamut of Jewish education to the highest level. Because that's what we said a Yid does. The nature of a Jew that he inherited from Abraham Avinu is not just to give the bare minimum. So the same thing, the yeshivas that they established is not just to give the bare minimum of Jewish education, but major, big amounts of Jewish education, to the utmost degree. What's the idea that Abraham Avinu planted this Eshel tree, which is about inviting in guests, with the Akeidah that came afterwards. Their self-sacrifice. They lived comfortably many years. It's different when a person lives under a lot of pressure, and he's used to giving of himself, and used to sacrificing himself, and used to opposition. Then, to demonstrate total self-sacrifice is not such a chiddush. But you're living comfortably. You're in Plishtim Yomim Rabim. You grew up in America. You never knew what it meant to be under attack. And all of a sudden, you have to go ahead and give of yourself entirely, devote yourself entirely to Hashem. So we say, what educates a child to be ready to do that? It's a result of the Achnasas Oichim. Ba'anagasam ba'ofen kazeh shel chesed shel amaylam mitam v'das. Lefichach gam b'yimei hashalva shel yomim rabim holchu al Akeidah b'simcha, it says. They didn't go sadly, they went there with joy. Why? Because they were used to reaching deep within themselves for another. Zoi gam hayra l'chol adoros. Mebnei Yisrael nidreshes anhaga shel mesiras nefesh b'miyuchad b'chinuch hayeladim. And this was in America. These years. I think this was in Tafshin Yutes. It says over here. Tafshin Yutes is like 1958. To send a kid to a Jewish school, many parents found it very difficult to make that commitment. And the Rebbe says there needs to be self-sacrifice to do so. They have to take all their toil and all their effort and devote that and use their money and use their powers and use their strength to make sure that the children get a Jewish education. Not only their own children, to be concerned about other Jewish children having a chinuch. Again, not just to give them afternoon school, Talmud Torah, Wednesday hour, whatever it is. Ki'im yadus Torah mitzvahs b'mloya midah, the fullest measure. Va'oz godal dersha mesiras nefesh. Then you have a generation that grows up that's totally devoted to Hashem. Shagam biyosim b'medina chavshis, in a free country, heim muchanim lahakriv kol shalahem. They're willing to forgo and give up everything ad games chayim avor emunah Torah mitzvahs v'chol kosher b'yadus, until they're willing to give up even their own lives for Yiddishkeit and their belief in Torah mitzvahs. So then you don't have to worry about physically doing so. Hashem won't just pay you back dollar for dollar for all your support for the yeshivas. He'll pay many times for each dollar, many times over. He started with one son. I will increase your children like the stars of the Shemaim and the sand. Not just he will increase monetarily, this goes without question. All of these things Hashem makes sure to give us. It says concerning tzedakah that the person should not feel bad when he's doing tzedakah. He should not just have it, do it, b'kabal soil. The Rebbe said this is the right thing, but he should do it out of joy. That's what it means, al yeda levavcha. They should give money to the yeshivas in an open and broad hand and in a happy way. Hashem will pay back many times. So, not just money, but everything that is necessary.